Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be covering the first important election of 2023, the Speaker of the House election. And before I get into that, I'd like to say if you like my content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you know when we upload, and also leave a like and comment and tell us what you think. With that said, let's get into it. So at the beginning of every Congress, the Congress votes to elect this Speaker of the House. And of course, the last two times this happened, Nancy Pelosi was elected, but she stepped down as leader of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives, and Republicans, of course, also took back the House of Representatives, so she was not going to be running for Speaker again. Instead, the Democrats put up Hakeem Jeffries from New York. And of course, because they didn't have the majority, they knew that Jeffries was not going to win this election, but they still put him up anyway because every year the opposition party still puts up their nominee, even though they know they are going to lose. And the Republican Party put up Kevin McCarthy, who was the minority leader for the last 4 years under Democratic control in Congress. But for several reasons, many Republicans do not like Kevin McCarthy, and so many of them are voting against him and are actually holding up the Speaker election. And so for the last couple days, it is now January 5th. Since January 3rd, the Congress has been voting for Speaker, but nobody's gotten the amount of votes needed. At the beginning, it was 218. Now it's 217 because someone has decided to vote present, and nobody has reached this 218 mark. And so we do not have a Speaker of the House currently. So looking at this chart here, we can see who is voting against Kevin McCarthy, and it's mostly the usual suspects. You know, it's Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Andy Biggs, mostly Freedom Caucus people, a couple of new names who were just sworn into Congress like Eli Crane and Anna Paulina Luna, but it is mostly Freedom Caucus people that are voting against McCarthy here. It's about 20 of them at this point, and that is enough to strip McCarthy of the votes he needs to become Speaker. So now I'm just kind of going to go through the history of this election. It's obviously only been 2 days, but there have been 8 ballots so far. I think they're currently doing the 9th ballot. And I'm just going to talk about who everyone voted for and why. So on the first ballot on January 3rd, we can see that Democrats all supported Hakeem Jeffries, all 212 of them in Congress right now. And so he was clearly the Democratic nominee, and nobody really defected against him. We can see that Kevin McCarthy was the Republican nominee, and he actually did get 203 votes, which is most of the Republican caucus in Congress right now, but not enough because 19 Republicans defected and backed other Republicans. Most of these went to Andy Biggs, but some went to others as well. At this point, 218 votes were needed to elect a speaker, and neither candidate got that. And so for the first time in 100 years, this election went to a second round. So going down to the second ballot, the same 19 Republicans voted against McCarthy as in the first round, but this time they all backed Jim Jordan, although Jordan himself did vote for Kevin McCarthy. And once all 19 of these Republicans backed the same candidate, you can really tell that Kevin McCarthy was going to have trouble winning this Speaker election, and he still hasn't, and I don't even know if he will, but I'll get to that later. But you can tell that this is an anti-McCarthy faction, and that this is probably going to go on for a while. Moving on to the third ballot, which was still on January 3rd, all 19 Republicans again voted for Jim Jordan, but this time one representative who voted for McCarthy before, Byron Donalds, actually voted for Jim Jordan too. And so Kevin McCarthy actually lost a vote from where he was at the beginning, which is obviously not something he wanted to do. And so now Jim Jordan was at 20 votes, Kevin McCarthy was at 202, and nobody reached the 218 necessary. And so after the third ballot, the Republicans decided to adjourn the House for the day, and so they resumed the voting the next day. So the next day, on January 4th, there were 3 ballots, the 4th, 5th, and 6th ballots, and all of the ballots had the exact same result. Victoria Spartz decided to vote present instead of voting for any Republican, and so the total votes were down to 433, bringing the votes necessary down to 217. Jeffries, once again, got every Democrat in Congress to vote for him, so that's 212 for him. Kevin McCarthy lost Spartz, so he's down to 201, and Byron Donalds got 20. And all 3 ballots that day were exactly the same. And although no Republicans decided to vote against McCarthy that previously had, Spartz voting or deciding to not vote at all is another sign that McCarthy's support was cracking and that this election might go on a lot longer than people anticipated. So going down to the third day, which is today, January 5th, there was a 7th ballot, and in this time, Matt Gaetz decided to vote for Donald Trump instead of Byron Donalds, but still, Kevin McCarthy had 201 votes, and the anti-McCarthy faction had 20. Now, personally, I don't think Matt Gaetz' vote for Donald Trump was very smart at all. It just makes the anti-Kevin McCarthy faction kind of look goofy and stupid. Like, if you're going to vote for Donald Trump for speaker, you're obviously not really wanting to be taken seriously. And so I think this was a misplay by Matt Gaetz. Despite that, every other anti-McCarthy faction member voted for Byron Donalds again, and the election went to an 8th ballot. So moving on to the 8th ballot, again, Kevin McCarthy only got 201 votes. The same people voted either present or for someone other than Kevin McCarthy. Once again, Matt Gaetz voted for Donald Trump, which I already said I think is kind of dumb. This time, 2 people voted for Kevin Hern from Oklahoma, and the other 17 voted for Byron Donalds again. And although Kevin Hern being nominated makes more sense than Donald Trump, his nomination was totally performative because people just wanted to vote for a Kevin that wasn't Kevin McCarthy. And Kevin Hern made sense because he is the chair of the Freedom Caucus, and it's mostly Freedom Caucus members voting against McCarthy. So that pick does make sense, although I do still think it's very performative. But once again, due to these results, the 8th ballot moved on to a 9th ballot, and that one is currently underway, and I'm assuming this is going to go on a lot longer. We already see here that Byron Donalds has received 13 votes and Kevin Hern has received 3, which means McCarthy will once again not have enough to go on to be speaker unless, several Democrats vote for him, which isn't going to happen. And so this is going to go on to a 10th ballot or more. This is just during the 9th ballot while I'm recording this video. And we can see that this is just a total shit show for Republicans, basically. The one thing Republicans really need for 2024 if they want to win Congress, the Senate, and the presidency is unity, and right now they don't have that really on any level. Democrats in Congress are all backing Jeffries, and on the presidential level, it seems like Democrats are all going to rally around Joe Biden if he decides to run again, which he probably will. And even though the Senate map doesn't look very good for Democrats in 2024, they still might be able to hold it because it looks like they really have their stuff together for this election cycle. These numbers just updated, and we can see now that McCarthy is at 180, Byron Donalds is at 16, and Kevin Hern is at 3. And assuming it's the same 19 people from before who voted, Kevin McCarthy obviously is not going to win this round. And since it's clear that McCarthy is not going to win at this point, I think Republicans should probably just ditch him. I mean, it's not necessarily fair, but politics never really is fair. They need to rally around someone that pleases everyone, and McCarthy clearly just is not that candidate. And I don't think Donalds is going to be that candidate either, nor is Kevin Hern, but they do need to find someone to back because we need a Speaker of the House, and Republicans are going to look really horrible if they go weeks or months without a speaker. And so really McCarthy should just swallow his pride and withdraw from the process if he really wants what's best for the Republicans. But the truth is that's probably not what he wants because he is a politician at the end of the day and he wants power. And that's true of all of these people, really. So at the end of the day, we still don't know who's going to be speaker during this Congress, but we do know it's probably not going to be Kevin McCarthy unless he can somehow get all of the people who defected to get back on his side, but that's probably not going to happen, so we'll just have to see what happens. But I thought I'd make a video about it because this is very interesting. It's the first time this has happened in most of our lifetimes, and so I thought I'd make a video about it. I'm not sure if I'll ever make an update about this. It really depends on how long this goes on for. This could go on for a month or maybe even more depending on what the defectors decide to do. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. And also leave a like and comment and tell me what you think about this whole situation because I really do think this is very interesting. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day.